Welcome back to everybody's favorite show. How about that, guys? We've only been doing it a few weeks. It's already everybody's favorite show, and I would agree with that. I go back and rewatch the hilarity of my own. It's good stuff. It's coach speak, and there are more coaches, more games played, more losses, and dumbfounding explanations for said losses, and or wins or non sequiturs, and all that other good stuff. ArtesiaWater.com. Go check them out. More on them in a bit, but I've got one set up in my kitchen right now, and it's delicious and cold, and the kids are drinking from it every morning. Good stuff. First up, Ben, who do we got?
Hey, guys, it's always fun to start the show with a little Jimbo. They are 4-3 now, 2-2 in the SEC. This is in the Tennessee loss in the post-game press conference. Enjoy, guys. I know you always will.
We might not have too many more of these.
Yeah. To the tens of thousands of Aggies that have been so
same thing.
I'm not finished. Emotionally and financially supportive. That question whether or not you can actually
the same things I just said to our kids. I mean, they ain't hurting no more than our kids are. Those players in that locker room, don't put them above the players. I mean, I love our players and I love our fans. I love our people who give money, but those kids are what's more important. That's why they're giving it. Those kids are hurting in there too, and we got to find a way to help them. We got to coach them better, get them to play better, and play in critical moments better. And that's what we're going to do. Go back and do it.
Oh, boys. Ira, you correctly predicted it. Here it is, man. We're up against it. I mean, I feel like when you start eliciting the sympathy for the kids,
and
it's such dicey.
And it's such a straw man argument. The guy said, "What do you say to the tens of thousands of people who donate and support your program?" And his response is, "Well, don't put them over the kids." Well, he wasn't putting them over the kids. I mean, he could have asked, "What do you say to these kids that you've let down?" His question was, what do you say to the people that are supporting the program financially? Jimbo's
his response was basically nothing. I feel bad for those kids. That's exactly. He didn't say we're going to. I mean, he said we're going to coach them better. He says that every week. He didn't say anything else other than I feel bad for those kids. I promise you, they're hurting worse than the fans. And in some instances, that's probably not true, but still.
Yeah, a couple of the kids who maybe took 6-7 figures to come there probably might not be hurting as much as the 70-year-old Aggie fan.
I was about to point that out. He's close to PJ Fleck territory, guys. He's going to start invoking tragedies of yesteryear. Like soon we're going to have comments about this is a tough loss, but it's nothing compared to 9/11. And people are going to sit there dumbfounded like, what are you talking about, my man?
I like that the reporter was like, "Oh, hey, let me finish."
Oh, dude, they're tired of it. They're done with him.
Yeah, that's a very good. That's a good illustration of how done they are with him because they've been interrupted a lot over the last few years, and they don't. And he still got interrupted. He still didn't quite get the question out. Jimbo wasn't going to let him.
Let me finish is straight up cold-blooded.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what a coach says to a reporter. It's rare that a reporter's like, no, man, let me finish. Come on, there you go.
The only thing would have been better is if then when he said, "Hey, don't put them over the kids," and then if the reporter had said, "Hey, okay, answer that question. What do you say to these kids who signed here to play at your school and now you?"
That's right, because he said I would tell the fans the same thing I said to the players.
Right.
But then he never told us what he said to the players, other than we're going to coach them better.
I suspect he said, think about all those poor fans that have donated their money to this program. Yeah. I mean, this is awful, guys. Don't put yourself above these fans. All right,
except for the field goal kicker. The field goal kicker is having a great time at A&M.
Do you remember, this is just like one little bit of irony, but like, do you remember when that video came out a couple of years ago when the whole talk about NIL and what Texas A&M was doing was there was a video of like a recruiting staff member talking to a recruit inside the stadium. And he pointed up at the stadium and he's like, "Man, if you come here, these fans will take care of you. Like this, there is so much money here. We are, and like later, Jimbo's like, oh, well, that's not what he meant. He just meant, but I mean, this is exactly the point, Jimbo. The reason you went there was for all that money. That's why you went to the school. And now you're like, hey, I don't care about them. I care about these players. Don't put them above the players.
Players are hurt.
For those watching at home, a ribbon on this is that Jimbo's lost 8 straight road games. 8 straight.
3-9 in his last 12 versus Power 5 opponents.
Woo! What do we got next?
Hey, we did not have Dave Aranda last week, and I apologize for that. We have Dave this week. We talk about that reporter-coach relationship as the season progresses. We touched on that with Jeff Traylor last week. I think Dave might be a little fed up, though. See what you notice here at the start of this question.
Any type of protocol or staff changes at all during the off week?
No. I think throughout the week there was a lot of self study, and so we had our defense break down and look at the offense, and vice versa. And so there's they had the majority of the week to do that. That was all kind of delivered and deciphered on Thursday, and I thought there's a lot of learnings in that, and we're really leaning into that and applying a lot of those truths, however ugly, bad or good, to help us get better. And so I think we're going to lead with what the facts are and try to get better there.
You don't get I appreciate that when you ask if he's making staff changes. That you're not getting the I appreciate that.
No, that's where he draws the line, Corey. But I also want to know, have you ever heard somebody use the phrase or the word learnings?
No.
He said there was a lot of learnings in that. I don't know what that means. I'm sure he means lessons learned or something uncovered, but a lot of learnings is new to the program.
And he also said, didn't he say we're gonna put truth into that? What did he say about the truth at the end? We're gonna make that our truth or something?
No matter how ugly it is.
Yeah.
He used truths a lot in that press conference. The other thing about the whole setup there, and I guess again, I think we need to savor the Dave Aranda press conferences because, like Jimbo,
we're running out of time.
We don't know how many more we've got. But the dais thing where he sits and he's got his hands like up here, it almost creates this it adds to that whole alien feel that I think people are feeling.
I have a question for both of you. Did the beginning of that explanation or his answer sound a little bit like when you were admonished as a kid for not doing your homework and then telling the teacher why you didn't do your homework, and then they refute your excuses with just sort of the straight up, well, now we went over this and I told you had till Wednesday. Today's Thursday, so no, we're not going to do that, Jeff. I mean, I got that vibe that it was a middle school teacher trying to be kind, but he was done. He was done with the nonsense.
I never had a teacher talk in that tone. Ever. I mean, they don't. I was thinking of the way he talked. Do you remember the Sweaty Balls skit on SNL with Alec Baldwin?
Yeah.
That's where he'd fit right in. It's the exact tone that the NPR hosts and Alec Baldwin have describing his meatballs. He would fit right in. And then you put them in your mouth, and they really taste good.
We're aware of the bit, Corey.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
One of the things that I would like to say, though, is Ira is spot on here. This is less of us making fun of Dave and more of us lamenting that there are so few of these to come.
We're embracing it.
It's over. It's over. That he was broken right there, guys. There was no I appreciate that. There was nothing. He was trying to be somewhat tough, and that there was no tough. There was nothing there.
They had their one game win streak snapped, and that's tough. I mean, when you've had a 1 game win streak going, guys,
thought he had it turned around, and then that happened. Ben, let's see number 3. What do we got?
Hey, I will say that he appreciated every question beyond that one. So
that was the one.
Yeah. Okay. So don't worry, guys. It wasn't the whole mood. Shane Beamer took a little flack on Twitter for finger pointing after South Carolina's collapse against Florida last week. Let's hear it.
I haven't had a chance to really ingest it, but looking at the defense, just what did you see as the main problem out there?
I saw the main problem, David. We call pressures and we don't run them. We play man coverage and didn't do a great job of keeping leverage. I mean, just in the first half alone, we ran a pressure where the corner came and for some reason he stopped, and we gave up an explosive pass because we didn't continue to run the pressure. We had another pressure call where we didn't run it in the first half. We had a holding penalty in the secondary in the first half. We had another pressure on a third down backed up where we're going to be off the field in the first half, and we didn't execute it properly. We talked to our guys about not jumping around the quarterback. We jumped and got beat on a pump fake. We had an offsides in the first half, so just did not play clean football. And then at the end of the day, we had some calls that were perfect calls. We ran a edge pressure. If somebody said, hey, a team is getting ready to run a reverse, what would be the perfect call? You would bring both people off the edge. We did it. We had a perfect call sometimes. And their guy made the play and we didn't. But we got good kids in that room. They're going to continue to make those plays. We've got to continue to do a better job of coaching them and putting them in position to make those plays.
We got good kids who suck at football, guys.
The best, there's so many great parts about, but my favorite is the fact when the guy asks the question, what
He's
wrong
grabbing
with
the sheet.
He pulls out the sheet and unfolds it. Oh, I'm going to tell you exactly how these kids screwed me.
Yeah.
Time and time again.
Did you see how much perfection was on display out there tonight that those kids ruined?
Perfect call after perfect call. We're like the Buddy Ryan 85 Bears, except these slappies don't do what we tell them to do.
In fact, if Buddy could rise up from the grave and see what I called, he'd be like, "Bravo, Shane!
You're doing it. You perfected defensive football."
We call pressures; they don't run them. It's like, what kind of team is this, Shane?
I love that.
It's a team of outlaws and renegades that just do what they want.
So
guys, you don't believe in Shane. By the way, I'll tell you this much. I would love to watch the film of a corner who's told to come on a corner blitz and just stops. I would like to be in that because Shane isn't going to have a lot of patience this week, guys.
So he did because this thing blew up. I actually got a text from a friend in the business that night, like, "Hey, did you see Shane Beamer?" And it wasn't even about Coach Speak. I don't think this person even knows Coach Speak exists, but they were just, I don't know, that's hard to believe. But but they were like, "Did you see Shane Beamer's press?" So I went and watched it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then the next day, he does a teleconference. On Sunday, he does a teleconference like old time coaches used to do, which good for you, Shane, with the local media. And he started off by clarifying because he's been buried about this. So he started off by clarifying. I just want to clarify, just like he did with the hot dog guys. Remember the first show he did, the chain gang, that I was mad because they went and got a hot dog when he was trying to do an onside kick. And so he starts off same exact thing. Like, I just want to clarify, guys, every time I talk in a press conference, I take the blame for everything. It's all on the coaches. It's all on me.
Yeah.
And then he just spirals into blaming the kids again. Like the rest of the press conference.
Can't help himself. By the way, the other reason he was so mad about that onside kick, because that too was a perfect call, but this time ruined by some fat asses on the chain.
Yeah. It'd be cool if he could have some confidence around him to appreciate he and his coaching staff's genius. Yeah, that was I just don't know. I don't think I've ever seen a coach quite do what he just did. And he never came back and was like, but hey, we got to coach him better. At the end, if you noticed it, he says, we got to continue to coach them. Not we've got to coach better, because you can't coach any better than that South Carolina staff is doing, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Perfect calls, perfect coaches, a bunch
Ira,
of.
Do you think, Ira, since you and I both chuckled heartily at him grabbing that sheet so quickly, man. He was waiting for the question. Do you think that he actually wrote down in there, like, 16 forgets to run, 32 doesn't get pressure?
Perfect call. Another perfect call. Great call. Touchdown, Florida. Great call. We just lost the game.
He's got exclamation points now. Another perfect call ruined.
Yeah.
So that was the Florida game that they lost. They were up 10 with like 5 minutes to go, I think.
Up 10 with 4 to play.
Wow.
And they gave up like 400 yards passing. They are now, I think, second in the country, second worst pass defense in the country.
It'll hurt your feelings.
And then Shane walking off the field's like, somebody get me a pen. Somebody get me a pen.
Yeah.
And he starts making his list.
This absurdism. All right, Ben, what do we got next?
Hey, I don't know if you guys saw this too. He actually broke his foot at that game too, kicking a Gatorade cooler, I think he said. So that's kind of interesting. Let's go to the polar opposite of Shane Beamer. This is Kyle Whittingham, and just listen to how he takes ownership. He's been doing this for a while.
Yeah, he's good.
Secondary, there's been moments where they've been burned through passes. But what do you feel like you've seen from them, and do you feel confident now going into the stretch where quarterbacks are going to be taking more shots downfield?
Okay, our secondary.
There's been a couple times where your secondary, your corners or something have been, they've been a pass that's burned.
Really?
It hasn't been a lot, but
right
now that you're going to face more quarterbacks that like to air it out a little bit more, do you feel confident in that group?
Well, we like those guys, and right now we're leading the conference in pass efficiency defense, which is the number one barometer that you look at for your pass defense. It's not overall yards, it's the efficiency. You're right, there's some big challenges on the horizon, and we'll see how we hold up, but I think we've done some good things in the secondary. Zamaya and JT and Miles holding down the fort at the corner spots. We've had Teo Johnson at the slot corner, and then those safeties. So I really like our secondary and think we got some good players back there. But they will be tested, no doubt, coming up. So we'll see.
Wow, that's
Man.
a nice way of not emasculating that reporter. I mean, he all but told him your question's the dumbest question I've ever been asked, and do your homework before you ask another one because we have the number 1 pass defense in the Pac-12.
What's weird is that he said, you guys have been burned a few times. Well, it's like, man, we're halfway through the season.
Who hasn't?
You're going to give up. You've given up passes. Yeah, that's happened. It happens everywhere.
Dude, Utah's defense is the only reason they win games. They haven't had Cam Rising all year long. They can't produce an offense week to week at all. They have to win on defense.
So the issue, the way you phrase that question,
that
honestly,
was the problem. The phrasing was the problem.
You just say, look, your defense you have the best pass efficiency defense in the conference. You guys have been really good up there, not giving up big plays, not giving up a ton of passing yards, but you're facing a tick you're facing an uptick in the level of competition. Do you feel like you guys are ready for what's about to come? Something like that. Don't bring up the fact that your corners have been burned because they've all been burned. Your offensive lineman has given up plays. Your quarterback's made bad reads. I mean, we're halfway through the season.
But I mean, dude, the guy, and look, man, Kyle Whittingham was a great player, obviously a successful coach, has built a great program there. He just the confidence he exudes there to not feel the need to belittle the reporter is really
awesome.
cool. You know,
sometimes we applaud on this show.
Yeah.
Sometimes we say, there you go, pal.
I mean, I feel like this is the first time we've done this, but I like it. It's a cool new segment.
First of all, the man has won back-to-back Pac-12 titles. Yeah. It's not Southern Cal. It's not Oregon. It's Utah.
And he would have been within his rights to be like, what are you talking about? We've got the number 1.
What are you jibber-jabbering about there, Kyle? What are you talking about?
It's good stuff. Should we talk about Artesia Water, Jeff?
Always. So
I can't wait, Ira, until next week when one of us doesn't have to remind Jeff to do this.
Hey,
first of all,
don't be mad. Don't get mad. Hey, let's just get on with the read.
Show your confidence. Like, be Kyle Whittingham. Show your confidence.
Be Kyle Whittingham right here.
You don't need to disparage Corey.
I've been hosting shows for 25 years. There have been an awful lot of advertisers in that time that trust me with their product.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate that they've entrusted me yet again.
I agree.
I can find folks at artesianwater.com. I don't think they feel any hurry for me to race in at the beginning of a program that has 10 spots.
Right.
And make sure I get it in before the 5th one. Apparently you do.
Right.
We'll talk about that at another time. Next question.
Good job, Coach Whittingham.
It was a little too much animosity for my taste, but I appreciate it.
It was a little more acerbic than Coach Whittingham.
Artesian Water, baby. There you go. It's right there. We've got one set up in the kitchen over yonder, and I got my 4 jugs at the beginning of the week. Hey, now 4 jugs of water at the beginning of the week, and it was an easy setup. Took no time, and it's convenient as all get out.
So tell me about the jugs for real, because I'm going to get one. I didn't realize exactly what I was
They're your
offered.
classic big jugs,
like in an office. Like in an office?
So, yes, exactly like that. But spring water, it's Artesia water, so it comes from springs. It's natural.
Pure spring water.
Best water you've ever had. And you didn't understand it. I tried to tell you 2 different times, and you kept telling me no. And so, but now I'm glad you're on board. I'm glad you understand. But yeah, it's like a cooler you have in the office with a 5-gallon water.
So are you having to take the jug and pour it into water like this?
We can see if they'll hire somebody to come out.
You want me to come out there? It's got a seal at the top. Hey, listen, you're a big, strong guy these days, Corey.
Big, strong guy.
Go over and pop it on there, right? Come on,
all right, good.
Yeah. But as Jeff said, it comes it's incredible. And what's really cool about it is for Coach Speak fans, we got a special offer. When you go to their website, artesiawater.com, and you type in when you ask for a quote request or you request information or a quote, if you mention Coach Speak, they're going to give you the first delivery and first month free of the cooler and the water bottles. And then, again, after that, then you got to start paying. We're not giving you free water for life.
Can't do it forever.
But the first month will be free. And it's basically their coverage area. I didn't mention this last time. They have an office in Tallahassee, but they're located in Bonifay, which is in the Panhandle. They kind of service over to Dothan, parts of South Alabama, up into South Georgia, and then across to like Perry and Madison. That's their kind of sweet spot, North Florida, Panhandle, and up into Georgia and Alabama. And it's man, it's really cool. I need to pace myself with the Artesia water, Jeff. It's nice to have that in the house.
The good news is that you'll be hydrated, and we all
Yes.
need to be hydrated. And the other good news is now their coverage is going to continue to expand now that they're on a show like Coach Speak. So we love them, and they're going to love us. It's all going to be good. ArtesiaWater.com, folks. Next up, Ben.
And real quick, also, sorry, real quick. And they're also on the website, artesiawater.com. There's phone numbers if you want to speak to a person as well. And just mention Coach Speak, though. If you request information, mention Coach Speak to get that offer.
Hey guys, sometimes coaches tell stories in press conferences, and I wonder if they're true. I'm wondering what you guys think about this story from Mack Brown.
Oh, here we go.
I was at Texas, and we'd just beaten Kansas 66-14. We were undefeated. We were second in the country, and this was 05. And we're getting ready to go play A&M, and they're 4-7. And we're going to play at A&M. And I get a call from Coach Parcells, and he's the head coach of the Cowboys, and I played for him at Florida State. And he's a dear friend, and I admire him so much. And he didn't say hello. He said, "You're in trouble, man." And I'm thinking, we just won 66-14. We're doing good, man. And he said, you're in trouble because you're sitting around talking about you. And you're talking about USC, and you're talking about national championship game. This is Texas A&M's bowl game. They're not going to a bowl game. So their only chance to save their season is beat you. And you aren't even thinking about them. So he said, you're like that big rat that's eating the poison cheese. And he said, you're going to die now. You're going to eat the poison cheese and you're going to die. And I mean, I got scared to death sitting there on the phone. I'm saying, I got you, coach. So I went downstairs and I hung a piece of cheese from every locker, and I put his quote up there. At every locker. And then at halftime of the game, we're down 29-24. And he is so right. And I walked in at halftime and I said, we're going to win a game, and you're not going to die, but you're damn sure sick because you ate some of that cheese. And we need to wake up. And then we won 40-29, but that was the day Vince Young lost the Heisman Trophy. Because Reggie Bush they beat Fresno 73-14, and he had a great performance, so the votes were in. That was it. Because we weren't ready to play that day. So you can't sit around and eat the poison cheese. You can't listen to the talk. You can't pat yourself on the back because we're human beings. We're human beings.
Yeah, I think we've had enough of Mac.
We know Virginia's going to play hard Saturday night.
They went on to beat Colorado the next week, 70-3, I think it was, Corey. And then
I just looked it up, and I remember the USC Fresno State game specifically. It was not 73-14. Fresno State had the lead in the fourth quarter in that game. That's why Reggie Bush was on the field and running for 350 yards, is because that game was very close because USC didn't have a defense. I don't know the score, but I know it wasn't that. He did get the Kansas score right, though.
He got that right, 40-29.
And they beat A&M 40-29. They beat A&M 40-29. They beat Kansas 66-14. Both of those are right, so that was cool to know. I do think that story's probably true. I don't think Parcells was probably as
demonstrative.
You're gonna die. You're gonna die,
yes.
Mac.
Yeah, I don't think it was that. That.
I like that he got the reference to that those two coaches were at Florida State. That's nice.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
Nice.
I like stories like that, man. I like that in a press conference. I just,
there might have been some embellishment. Do you think?
Yes,
Mac,
there was some embellishment for sure.
And also Mac saying he got scared on the call. Like he was like, oh no, am I going to die?
Also, I don't think he hung shoes up from the lockers. I don't think he did.
I've heard that story before.
I bet he did. I think he did.
I've heard that story before. But also like that's one of those, the rat cheese and the hanging the cheese from the locker. Like I've heard that story, I think from different, like about different schools.
Saban has said it.
Saban used the rat cheese all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, and Jimbo was a king of that when we covered him, like using lines that he stole from other coaches and sometimes anecdotes from other coaches. But I will say this for Mack Brown. He's an interesting character in that he comes across, that felt like we were sitting in his living room, like grandpa's having a talk with us. Yeah. But if you watch him during the games, man, he gets fired up. Like they got a ton of calls against him the other night, and he was pretty fired up. he's an interesting coach.
We may be covering old Mack Brown in that ACC championship game, guys.
Right.
So we could get story time for ourselves when we're there in Charlotte.
Yeah. I don't think Vince Young lost the Heisman against A&M, though. By the way,
I don't think so.
I think
too.
Reggie Bush was always winning that Heisman and was leading the race the whole time.
Well,
in
listen, man.
In hindsight, maybe Vince Young should have won it, but he wasn't going.
So Ben, to answer your question, we believe part of that story.
Yeah, part of it.
We believe the sentiment, the overall sentiment of the story.
The gist of what he had to say seems true, rings true. Yeah.
I don't think Parcells just called him and didn't say hello.
That seems odd.
I think he was like, "Hey, Mac, what's going on? By the way, you might be in trouble this week." I could see it going like that, not like, "Mac, you're about to die."
So if the three of us were Snopes, we'd say pretty true.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, mostly true.
Go, Ben. What do we got?
Hey, did you guys know Rich Rodriguez is at Jacksonville State now?
I did.
Yeah,
okay, well, I did not, and he does not give a damn.
Okay, good.
Very talented, very good Western Kentucky team. I don't know if they were picked first or second, or should have been if they weren't. I think they were. So, and they had an open date. Thank you. They had a open date, which is kind of questioned a little bit. But hell, how does one team get an open date in the middle of this midweek stretch in a league game? I guess it's just the way it fell. I don't know. So they have an open date and extra time to get ready. So
what about Simon? Do you think he'll be able to play Saturday?
Yeah, I don't know. It was a concussion thing, but it wasn't didn't see like a big hit or anything. So, those are the hardest ones to figure out because, it's different for there's no like set. You have a series of, conditions or something you got to pass. There's like 20 of them. I always tease our trainers because one of the 20 is anxiety. I'm like, hell, we all have like a high mark on that. You can ask any player, any coach, what's their anxiety level? And it's going to be off the chart there. So I don't know how you measure that with a concussion. But anyway.
How important do you think it is when recruiting generally just to be winning and to have, not just a winning record, but maybe a lot of wins stacked on?
Yeah, I think when everybody wants to go where you have a chance to have success, bowl games or whatever, I think most of our recruits know we're in a transition period, so I don't know what the expectations are. But you do it, as a coach, you do it two ways. If you're winning a lot, say, hey, you come join us, be part of this, something special. And if you're not, hey, we need you to win, So your message will be whatever the hell you need to message at the time. We're not winning and we're not playing well. Hey, well, that's why we're recruiting you, so we can win. So it's, coaches will send the message, whatever it is. But
so I like this version of Rich Rod way more than the one that was at Michigan or West Virginia.
Me too. I didn't know he's turned into Rick Trickett. Now Rick Trickett's on his staff now, but and I know he's a West Virginia guy too. But it's like a very down home kind of just shooting the bowl. It's an interesting. I don't remember him being like that before.
He wasn't. He was a pain in the ass back in the day. He gave some of the most contentious press conferences ever. He hated being criticized. He couldn't handle any of that stuff. It never played well when he was in Ann Arbor because the Detroit Free Press was there, and they're not going to listen to that nonsense.
Now he's on team Don't Give a Blank.
I'm on Jacksonville State, guys. You think I care? You think I care what any of this? Look where I'm at.
He literally was coach of Michigan in our lifetimes. He was at Michigan, and now he's at Jacksonville State. God bless him. That's the exact mindset he should have. He's like, you know what? He's like a guy at a Margaritaville, just living life. Like, whatever, man. Isn't this fun? I get to still coach football. There's no pressure. I'm going to answer your questions honestly. I think it's dumb that anxiety is one of the concussion protocol.
That's the best indicator. If you can try to have fun on a public dais about concussion protocols, man, you really don't give a crap.
Yeah.
Hey, when you get fired as a head coach in college football, it is, as I like to describe, kiss my ass on Main Street. You have made more money than you're ever going to make, and you'll never worry about it again if you're reasonably intelligent. That's happened to him a multitude of times. So by the time he gets to Jacksonville State, buddy, he has put in the coffers as much as you can. Yeah. It doesn't matter to him. There's something freeing. Like Corey was saying, he's the guy at the bar that you met that made a ton of money, selling turf or whatever to the NFL, and he's worth $50 million. And he never thought he was going to come into money, and now he's just drunk off his ass on a Wednesday.
So the first thing, I didn't get the first thing at first about the scheduling. It was like, yeah, man, teams get bye weeks. What do you mean? So right now their conference is doing this thing where they're playing all these midweek games.
Yeah, they played this past Tuesday.
Yeah, so he's mad because they're all doing these crazy schedules as part of the league, but somehow Western Kentucky got like a bye right before they got to play them.
I like the implied conspiracy there. He thinks they're out to get him at Jacksonville State.
And doesn't mind saying it in a press conference.
Doesn't care.
We like
Ben,
it.
We
might need more Rich Rod in the future.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool that Jacksonville State filmed their press conferences. I had no idea that was going to be a thing.
Hey, we can't make too much fun of Jacksonville State on this show, gang.
Ben is out here taking shots.
Wasn't that long ago.
Another former West Virginia coach, now at Houston, Dana Holgorsen, got his first Big 12 win on a Hail Mary over the Mountaineers, and he was pretty chill in the press conference too. I think him and Rich Rod might pound a few beers together or something.
Oh, yeah.
In all likelihood.
Team responded. Made some plays defensively. Could have sealed that game with the pick. We got to make that play. Can't let them go score a touchdown with a minute and a half to go. That's happening way too much. It's going to get addressed. I don't know what we got to do, but something's going to happen. Because we can't keep doing that. It makes me sick. Because we've worked it time after time after time after time. So that I will fix that. But were we supposed to win it? I don't know. We did. Were they supposed to win it? I don't know. They didn't. So good for us. Mountaineer Nation was here. Like I said, they would be. They had a lot of people here. It means a lot to them. 10 of my ex-players were on their sideline cheering on the Mountaineers, which I would expect nothing else from them. I'll probably make them buy me a drink tonight. They can afford it. They're all first-rounders.
I don't believe that they're all first-rounder.
All of them. All 10 of them.
I don't think so. I don't think the kids you had at West Virginia were first-rounders. I don't.
Hey, the prompt from Ben was not to decide whether it was a true story. That was the Mack Brown question. This is how chill is he? And I think, man, Dana, he'd probably be one of the cooler coaches to hang out with, probably, right? I mean,
Agreed.
I
mean, Ira, for a couple hours, maybe you meet him at 8. Or 8:30, you're like, all right, man, by 10:30, you're like, all right, dude, I got to pack it in. Because he's going all night, and who knows where it's going to end up.
Corey, you nailed it. You just nailed it. My whole suspicion watching that press conference was I need to get out of here so I can start drinking.
Yes.
Now, I don't mean to besmirch the man. He may be dry as the Sahara. But what I'm telling you now is he had the vibe of a guy, that itch in the side for 30 seconds to start the press conference, followed by all this up here.
Yeah.
This is a man who wants to hit the cold one, like Spurrier after a big win.
But the vibe from him, and I don't know if it's true. I feel like he just admitted he drinks a little bit, so that's cool. I got no shame or judgment there. But the vibe is that it doesn't wrap up at a reasonable time with him sometimes, especially after you win on a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be going.
Which is to Ira's point, why you would want to hang out with him for a night.
For a little while.
Yeah.
After a while, you're like, man, he's going to get me in a fight. He's going to say something. I'm going to fight him. Like there's going to be a line that's crossed, I think.
You remember like Sports Illustrated back in the day when they would get access to like hang out for a weekend with whatever star athlete and, follow Venus Williams for 3 days or whatever it was. Like I don't know if they ever did one of those, like go on a bender with Dana Holgorsen. Like that would be
incredible.
Maybe that's maybe we can work on that in our next.
It would be like one of those Hunter S. Thompson stories from back in the 70s.
Unfortunately
for Mike Price, they did find out about one of those situations. However,
allegedly,
some litigation after that.
What do we got here, Ben?
Next up, we've got Chip Kelly at UCLA, who was randomly asked some question about NIL and pro player contracts, and somehow that correlates to his athletes. It's kind of hard to hear over Chip's heavy breathing, but his answer is pretty classic.
All right.
Calling college players pro athletes now, kind of a fair comparison, given that some are making 7 figures. I don't look at it that way. Quick, I also don't think because a pro athlete.
So what he's asking is, like, is it okay that college athletes will start getting criticized like pro athletes?
Right.
Because now they're making a lot of money.
Right.
Oh, okay. All right.
Now, Ben wasn't kidding about the breathing.
The breathing. Yeah, the breathing.
I mean, that was Darth Vader.
Worried.
That was Darth Vader-esque.
My God.
All right, we can go.
Makes money that people should be allowed to criticize them. You know what I mean? You know, does people go into the workforce of some banker and just start heckling him? Saying, hey, you make $750,000 and the mortgage rates are this. Inflation is at an unbelievable pace. So what the heck are you guys doing? You're absolutely out of your mind. Let's get rid of you. Let's fire this guy and cut this guy and do all that. I mean, it's the nature of sports, and we all got involved in it. And we all understand it, and that's the beauty of sports. You know, everybody is allowed to have their opinion. Everybody thinks they're the manager of the New York Yankees. Everybody thinks they have a better way to do things. That's what makes this country great. You are entitled to your own opinion, but just because someone makes money, I don't think you can put it into that thing. Well, this person makes money, we should do that. So are we going after every CEO on Wall Street, or are we going after every politician now because the inflation's through the roof? I leave that up to other people. We're trying to get some first downs here.
We're trying to get some first downs here. That's awesome. What a great way to finish it.
I will throw in here one caveat that all that was great, except for the line about that's what makes this country great. That's not true.
That's exactly not what he thinks. Why would he even say that? That was just like a verbal tick that he just said. And hey, you know what? God bless America.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey.
God bless the USA.
Who was it last week? That's why we love life. Who was it that you come? Oh, it was PJ Fleck.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like life. You know, you come home and your family's all dead, and
your wife,
there's been a hostage taken,
murdered.
Yeah,
that's
you got to
why
find
we
a way
love
to
life.
fight through it. And today we fought through it, just like the man who finds out his 7-year-old daughter was decapitated. You've got to find a way in this world. It's what makes America great.
So, Chip, here's the thing. Like, this is actually a topic I think is worth discussing at some point. And I think the country and fans will have to have this discussion at some point, because we've always treated athletes different. Like high school football players, if you cover high schools, Corey and I used to cover high schools. You when you write about high school players that fumble or whatever, you write about it a little differently than you do college players.
Yeah, because it's a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah,
right?
and then college players, you write it a little bit different than you do pro athletes, because you could always say, well, look, man, they're not making $1 million a year.
Yeah.
We got to treat them a little bit differently. So that is a discussion. The reporter's question is valid. Like, this is probably going to change some of that, right? Where if some of these college football players are making over $1 million, does that not open them up maybe for more criticism than otherwise?
Yeah.
I don't know how it couldn't. Of course it would. If Caleb Williams is making $2 or $3 million a year and he goes out and throws 3 picks and a blowout loss, I think he's fair game, my man. I mean,
but I also think somebody like Caleb Williams was always going to be criticized, whether he was making money or not.
But don't you think it goes to a different level when the money is involved? I think college athletes are not typically criticized the way pro athletes are.
No, and I don't think they still will be. But yes, it'll be ramped up a little bit, because you're like, oh, we're paying you 6 figures and you can't catch the ball. I mean, come on, man. Yeah, I do think that'll start happening.
The ridiculous thing from Chip, though, is the comparison to, we don't go into the banker and yell at him. Yeah, man, the banker's not selling tickets to the bank. The banker's not on TV. The banker isn't making $10 million like you are.
The banker's not repping Jumpman on his shirt. It's getting paid by Nike like you are. Yeah. And also, like you said, do we criticize politicians?
Yes.
It's like, yeah. Every single second of every day.
It's never ending. It's actually quite literally, it never ends.
Joe Biden's watching this like, so nobody's criticizing me?
Nobody's saying a bad word about me, really?
Sweet.
All right, Ben, what do we got?
Hey, we've got 2 more. We're going to finish things out on Dabo. I know you guys are excited to talk about that. Yes. But we're going to start first with some Sun Belt drama. This is Kane Wommack. He is at South Alabama, a Southern Miss alum. He just beat Southern Miss 55-3. This is in the post game. He took a little offense to some billboards that were appearing in Mobile. So Kane Wommack at South Alabama.
One thing, though, I'm very I have a lot of respect for Will Hall, a lot of respect for people that built that program at Southern Miss. You know, Jeff Bauer, Larry Fedora, Jay Hobson, who I worked with, as defensive coordinator and head coach. Dave Wommack. There's some special people there that have always kind of gone about things with a humble confidence in that program. And, whoever the administrator is that made a decision to put billboards that were disrespectful for the city of Mobile and disrespectful to the University of South Alabama. Just needs to know that sometimes those things are great in a board meeting, but it'll get your ass kicked on the playground. So let's make sure that we do things the right way. And my alma mater, I think, should hold themselves to a different standard than that. Jay's up and Leo.
Jay's up.
Man,
wow.
What does Jay's up mean?
Something for their team, I guess.
Maybe Jay was next.
Jay's for Jaguars.
No, maybe Jay was the next guy.
I think is it South Alabama? Is they the Jaguars?
The Jaguars?
Or something?
Yeah, they're the Jaguars. So what did I couldn't understand what the billboard said, Ira. Could you have any context to that?
It had something. It looked like it had something from so whatever South Alabama's something that they put and crossed off.
Yeah, they crossed it off. Yeah.
And then had their their message. But yeah, man, that's pretty intense. And he also, I don't know. I don't. It just you don't. I don't know. You just don't usually see that. I guess he waited till after the win though. That was pretty cool. He didn't. He didn't talk before the game.
There was a ... that started all of that. When he's asked the question, it's the little bit like when you hear, I do this, 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 and this, and the butt's coming, ... That's what that was. The second he gets asked a question, he's saying all these nice things about coaches that came before him.
Yeah, you knew something. He's about to drop the hammer.
Okay, we're headed down a path. Here comes the butt.
And he also, it's like 2 billboards got you that mad, buddy? I mean, I get it, I guess. You know what?
But what is, so Southern Miss bought billboards in Mobile.
I guess so, yeah.
I guess
promote. It's like remember Greg Schiano did it when he was at Rutgers. He put billboards in South Florida.
Yes, he did,
and stuff. So I guess they're called the Port City. So they changed it to the what is that? I don't know. Huss City. I don't know.
Huss City, like Hattiesburg. Yeah, that's what I don't understand. What is Huss City? But either way, it's clearly a Southern Miss billboard.
I do like a major university experience at a cost comparable to your local university. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I would have chuckled. He won the game, man.
Yeah, he took real offense to it, though. And, yeah, that's
I think he falls in line with a lot of people that want to be offended. Next up, Ben, what do we got?
No, I wanted to say one thing about it, though. The one analogy I didn't like is if you make a decision in a board meeting, it might get your ass kicked on the playground. Who goes from a board meeting to a playground?
Pedophiles.
Right. I don't like that analogy at all. So I wish he'd have come up with something. Just the field. The field would have been better, not the playground. Because we're not trying to promote 6-year-olds fighting each other on the playground.
He was frustrated.
We're going to close things out with Dabo. I'm going to give you a little background context and read his quote from his coach's show that kind of sparked some outrage. So we're going to go ahead. Quote, we're at a point in our time, and I hate that, where, people, if you don't go undefeated, you're losers. You're terrible. And it's just a terrible mindset, And honestly, maybe we need to lose a few games and lighten up the bandwagon. Sometimes the bandwagon can get a little too full. He went on to continue. Quote, that's the one good thing about going through a little bit of so-called adversity is you really find out, who's with you and who's not. But as far as our program, hey, we may win every one of these games out. We could lose every one of them. We're a really good team that can beat anybody, and we're a team that could lose to anybody. But our program is built to last. I mean, we're going to be around for a long time. We've got the makings. I really believe the foundational pieces to the next championship at Clemson is on this team. I don't have any doubt about that. So then he followed it up in the press conference on Tuesday. He was asked about it, of course, with this. Let's find it here.
By the way, it's Hub City. Hattiesburg is the Hub City. So that's why it.
There you go, Ira. There's the context we need.
The guy who called in and was, complaining about whoever he works with, and I just, I guess nobody has a sense of humor anymore around here. But that's just kind of the world we live in. But no, our fans are awesome. I mean, 98.5% of our fans are amazing. I mean, I've been here it's my 21st year. So, I mean, literally 98.5% are amazing. But we got 1.5% that they're with you win or win. And, and so I was trying to, I don't even know who I was talking to, pep him up a little bit. A little adversity in this world is sometimes good, because for a couple of reasons. I think sometimes you can win so much you lose appreciation for the blessing. Oh. That's just a reality. And it's hard to win. It's freaking hard to win. and to win consistently is almost impossible. So people don't understand that. I can't help them, but I just made the comment of, a little adversity along the way. The one, you hate it, but the one positive is it makes you grow, but you also learn kind of who's with you. And that's a good thing. That's good. So I love our fans. I think we got, again, 98.5% of them are amazing. But the other 1.5%, they create a lot of the problems.
They can go F themselves.
This is,
what a bizarre percentage.
The 98.5?
Yeah.
Corey, literally
98.5.
Literally.
He counted them all. He
done
counted them
research.
all.
Yeah.
I don't really believe it. If we're going back to the truth, we need a truth detector on this show since we did it with Mack and the other guy. I don't believe he loves our fans. When he said I love our fans, it didn't sound, I don't know. I didn't feel
He does
the
it
love.
every week, Ira. He hates those bastards. Every week he's ripping the media. He's ripping the fans. They don't understand what a blessing it is. First of all, Dabo, God doesn't care about who wins a football game. Stop with all that nonsense. Secondly, it is over and over again. He bashes the fans and then turns around and goes, what? I don't understand.
Nobody can take a joke.
Nobody can take a joke. I was clearly joking. What's crazy about it is Ira knows because he's been in that stadium when they weren't very good, when Clemson was going through the Tommy Bowden era, and when they were always 4-5 and playing Florida State. Those fans are great.
It was packed back then, man.
They show up when they're not any good, and they show up when they're great. That is one of the best fan bases in the country.
As an aside, I think you can say that about the state of South Carolina, period.
Right.
South Carolina fans have been going to games forever. They've never been any good.
And the thing about South Carolina fans is at least they get to watch perfect defense. At least they get to watch perfect defensive calls.
Perfect calls, not perfect defense.
Yeah, like Clemson just got by with great players knowing what they're supposed to do and doing it. South Carolina is next level. But like Dabo's saying that about the fans, it's like, man, it's just it seems like you're all that's one of the tells that Bowden did it too.
Right.
Bobby Bowden did it too. Like people don't appreciate what we did. It's just, they do appreciate it, man, but they still want the same consistency because that's what you're paid so handsomely to do, is to not go 9-3.
You're never a victim of your own success. I wish coaches understood that, man. You're not a victim of your own success. It's never smart to go into a press conference or to answer a question by bashing your fans.
Yeah.
He's got rabbit ears, man. He hears somebody on Twitter or reads something off a board and he's furious.
Only 1.5% though, guys.
Well, that's true. But 1.5% of like a million, Ira, that's a
lot of people.
Lot.
Yeah.
That's too much for Dabo for sure.
I would like to hear the press conference because it was a coach's show, and he said the guy was talking about adversity or something, and somehow Dabo turned it into, we've got a bunch of Clemson fans that shouldn't be Clemson fans anymore.
Oh, it's every week though, guys. I'm tired. He does it every week. We could have
every
him on
time
every
they
week
lose.
Every time, man. And he does it after wins. He does it after any game. It's just like, they just don't appreciate, God's love over this program. I don't understand. It's just
that's where I would push back if I was a Clemson fan, because clearly they got to love Dabo. He's been incredible for that program. He's turned that program into a national power. But they were an awesome fan base before you got there, and they're going to be an awesome fan base after you leave.
Correct.
They are a great fan base. Don't give them grief for wanting to win more games.
You know what is a blessing, guys? Artesia Water.
.com. Artesiawater.com. Go look it up. You'll see all the places they deliver. You'll see all the deals that you can get. You could call them. You'll see their phone number on there. You can give them a ring and say, I want this service. The boys
mention Coach Speak.
And I'm going to get a huge discount because of it.
Yeah, you get a free first month. And again, Jeff and I already got it. Corey's going to have it soon. And it's
Happy Corey waiting out there in the wings.
Can't wait to squirt my Mio in that big water jug.
You're like a gallon of Mio into your 5 gallons of water. But if you can get it at your home or your office or wherever you want it. So in this region,
water, as they say.
Yeah, that's right.
Ben, good work out of you. For Corey and Ira, I'm Jeff. Another Coach Speak next week. Share, do all the things. Spread it around. Make sure everybody else hears about Coach Speak. Good times. Peace.
It's a blessing.